Ted Terrazas is going to join us, and Ted is ex-military, like a lot of people, and I have some sentiment there. A daughter in the United States Army. My dad was ex-Air Force. My mom was ex-Air Force. My uncle was ex-Army. I was in ROTC back in college. And when you leave the military after your service, if you're in long enough, you're entitled to some benefits. Now, if you live outside the country, you may not be able to collect these, mainly because it's kind of complicated or it's made complicated, which is a shame. But you serve, we care as an organization, and Ted's taking the point of contact here on Roatan and putting together the first meeting that's coming up a week from the 9th. So that's the 16th, and it will be at Thai Blue Elephant. Ted, thanks for coming on.
No, my pleasure. In fact, you don't really have to be a retiree to get VA benefits, as an example. So a lot of people, would serve. They would get injured while in a conflict, for example. So they would get a disability associated with a conflict, and they are entitled to get benefits, especially depending on what their disability percentage is. But yes, we are putting together a group so that we can talk to the veterans. And we actually have a couple guest speakers. One is Sergeant Bliss, a former Army decorated veteran, who is a CEO for the foundation. And he's also bringing in someone from VES, which is one of the organizations that negotiates with healthcare entities, for example, on Roatan. And we know that they have some, but not everybody knows who they are. So what we hope to do is inform the veterans about their benefits, about what we're trying to do in order to get more benefits. But basically, if we can go ahead and get them benefits, they can get care, they can get pharmacy, and they can get other things. We even have veterans who ask us about medals that they should have received and didn't get, and we can help them with all those little things as well.
Now, this is probably, I'm going to say, I know a lot of ex-vets that live here that probably should know about this. So we're trying to get the word out. So if you're watching this or if you're listening to this and you know an ex-vet, have them at least visit Blue Wave's YouTube channel or Blue Wave's Facebook page so they can at least get the info to connect with this. This is the first meeting of its kind. How did you come across this organization, Ted?
Well, there's a General Venezuela who served as a deputy Southern Command, and he has always wanted to do more for vets. Especially most of his assignments were in Latin America, and Sergeant Bliss worked under him, and Sergeant Bliss retired in Panama. So this program already exists in Panama, and I think they're also trying to do it in Costa Rica, and we're trying to get to all the Latin American countries. What we have in Roatan is a unique situation where a lot of people want to come here to retire for obvious reasons. It's paradise. But what we don't know is how many veterans are on Roatan, Bay Islands. I don't care if they come in from the mainland or even Belize, but any veterans that can hear this, we would like them to come join us. And if they're not here, but their spouses should also, and they're welcome to come as well.
I didn't know that. Now that's a good idea. So typically, you mentioned some of the benefits that you don't necessarily have to have served. I explain that. I didn't quite understand.
Well, let's say, for example, you have a reservist, and the reservists typically they have a longer retirement, but they get injured while they're on active duty because they were called up. Well, if that injury is significant, they can receive benefits through the Veterans Administration, and typically at no cost. And actually, the Veterans Administration has a Latin America liaison in which we work with in order to ensure that they are still being able to get their benefits and paid for by the VA.
It's amazing to me in a world that is as wired as it is that there's so much lack of information that's out there. Now, it would seem to be fairly easy to track, but it isn't. How many ex-vets there are that are living on the island? And to my knowledge, other than running into people, say at sundowners or at an event, and talking with them and go, "Oh yeah, you're ex-military. Where'd you live? Oh, you were on Okinawa. I was on Okinawa in the 1960s." You kind of get that going on. So there's definitely some friendship and camaraderie, and vets do all have that. Um, the reason they joined was to serve their country. So it's nice to have people from their country serving them, and they may not even know about this program. Is it relatively new?
It is new. It is new, and that's one of the reasons we want to have this meeting is because we now have advocates with us who work with the ambassadors, who work with the federal government in the VA in order to recognize veterans who do not live in the United States but that are expats. So, for example, I'm a veteran. Now, my address is in San Antonio, Texas, because they have to have a U.S. address. And of course, we don't have an address on Roatan. So they don't know that I live on Roatan, yet I'm a veteran entitled to veteran benefits, as many others, I believe, that are here as well.
Interesting. Yeah, you keep a US if you're a business or you're a US citizen, it's good to have a US address. But I ran into similar problems with Social Security because I was living abroad and they're like, "Well, we need actually proof that you exist." And, I got all of that handled, but it wasn't easy when it was happening, and it's confusing, and, some people here are living fine, but a little bit extra always helps, especially if you're entitled to it, and especially if you have ongoing medical history that needs to be taken care of, and you would like to be reimbursed for those costs, and you're allowed those costs. And again, this is the first meeting here on Roatan. It doesn't matter where you're listening. Ted mentioned Belize. Yeah, you could be living in Belize or La Ceiba or San Pedro Sula or someplace. If somebody sends you this, definitely try to make the meeting. Now, again, that's coming up on the 16th. It's going to be at Thai Blue Elephant in West End. What time does it start?
It starts at 1 o'clock, and it'll last to about 3.
Great. So then you can hang out for the rest of the day and watch the sunset with Ted.
There you go. Yes. But, no, this is a great benefit, and I've already been approached by a couple of veterans, one of them trying to find out how do they get their initial VA physical. So that's one of the things that we can help with.
And there's probably a lot more. There's probably a whole list that the sergeant's been through and seen, right?
Yes, for sure. And give
Okay.
you an example, in Panama, Bliss said that they thought there was 200, veterans in Panama. Found out that there were over 3,000. So,
3,000, and he
I'm
thought there were
very
200.
interested in find out how many are in this area.
We will find out, we hope. Okay, so again, coming up on the 16th, 1 o'clock, Thai Blue Elephant, West End. Share the video, spread the word, tell your ex-vet friends, and let them know that we're here for them and we're here to help them out. And Ted, will be in touch. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, and I always appreciate your support.
Always going to help you, buddy.
Thank you.